big horses, big jumps, and Paddy Power are paying big places. 6 to be exact. That's a whopping 6 places on each way bets if your horse finishes in the first 6 in the Grand National. Applies to place part of each way bets at 1/5 of the odds. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's the big one. It's the Grand National. Welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and I'm delighted to be joined this week by Paul Keeley and Graham Rodway from the Racing Post Racing Desk, and also from Paddy Power we've got Tom Nugent, who's got all the odds and no doubt a winner or two. So we'll obviously be getting stuck into the Grand National big time. We'll then go through all the rest of the entry card. It's a fiendishly difficult one. We'll have a look at some decent action over in Leopardstown for flat fans, and hopefully the boys have dug out a winner or two from elsewhere. But first of all, like I say, 5:15 entry on Saturday, the Randox Health Grand National. 4 and 3
4
these
miles,
days.
2.5.
4 miles, 2.5. Well, it used to be 4.5. 30 fences, 40 runners, 3 non-runners already today, but we'll tell you all about those later on. First of all, though, without further ado, Tom Nugent, take it away with a nice big show of Paddy Power betting.
Yeah, with our 6 places where Annabelle Fly and Total Recall joint 10-1 favourites at the moment. Tiger Roll next in at 11-1, 12-1. Black Lion, The Last Samurai 14-1, alongside See You at Midnight and Bay Days Ill. Uccello Conti is 20-1, and it's 22-1 bar those.
Right, Kills, it is now 1:22 on Friday afternoon. I don't care what you've backed. I don't want you bragging about these massive prices of these horses you've got on, all right? Well done. For all the people listening or watching now, who should they be backing? Where is the value now, not where it was?
Right, I still think there's a bit of mileage in I Just Knows price, because the ground is really, really deep, and I think you'll absolutely love it. Stepped up to 3 miles 6 first time he went beyond 3 mile, and he absolutely bolted up. It was a North Yorkshire Grand National. I mean, it's hardly a top class race, but he bolted up by 14 lengths, and I just think he won really, really easy. He had a little spin over hurdles next time. His jumping was just fantastic. He looks like he's tailor-made for this. 10 stone 8, I think he's got a great chance. A bigger price, I would say, one who could be overpriced now is Carlingford Loch. He was obviously a very good Grade 1 horse in his time, and he does stay very, very well. You remember the way he finishes at Leopardstown when he's on form in those Grade 1s. I think he might have a good chance in that ground. And he's a 50-1 shot. That'll do. I wouldn't, even though Bay Days Ill has been smashed all week, still wouldn't surprise me if she ended up going off favourite.
Really?
She's got, other than being a 7-year-old, which all the trends gurus will tell you gives her no chance whatsoever. She's just got a really solid profile for the race. She's been in the top 6 in an Irish national, in the 5th in a Welsh national to Native River, and she's been jumping fences since he was 3. So I'm not worried about her age.
And of course, the national market can go absolutely nuts on the day, can't
I
it?
remember,
Munker.
Hosting can go off favourite for the national, and virtually anything in this race can, because it can't be many smaller horses that have ever run over the national fences than him, and somehow he got down to 8-1, didn't he?
He didn't enjoy it, did he? G-Rod, have you sussed it? Like the beard, by the way. Very nice.
Yeah. I hope I've sussed it.
Go on then.
Obviously, it's the Grand National. Anything can happen. Raz de Marais surely can't go off 33-1 if it continues to bore down. I mean, it's heavy, soft in places today. It's changed, and absolutely loves testing ground. Won nicely in the Welsh Grand National last time, I think it was. And I just think conditions have come really right for him. Robbie Power was on the TV on Thursday saying that the more rain, the better. So, the heavier it becomes, the better for Raz de Marais. Uccello Conti, I think 1 million people have been putting this up for the Grand National for about the last 4 or 5 years, and he just doesn't quite do it. He unseated last year, but he did run, I think he was beaten 37 lengths, but he was 6th the year before behind Rule of the World. Obviously, Gordon Elliott, fantastic trainer, and I just think that he'll like conditions as well. Likes testing ground, and sometimes it does take these horses a little while to get their iron around the fences, and I could just see it happening. I can just see it, when you can just see Simon Munir and Isaac Swade have been winning almost everything at Cheltenham, and well, certainly from a British perspective, and they already win our entry this week with Lamy Surge, and we have a dream, of course. I can just see Uccello Conti running really well.
Righty-ho. The lads have given us 2 each, so why don't you, Tom?
Yeah, Raz de Marie was the one for me as well. I just think, the ground was nearly unraceable in Chepstow when he won the Welsh National. So the rain and Aintree won't be a problem. He will not stop. He'll stay galloping right onto the line. And the other one as well for me was Bay des Iles. We talked about her on Monday when she was 33 to 1. She's into 14 to 1 with us now. Every paper I seem to open and every television station I turn on, Katie Walsh's face seems to be on it. I'm not sure if it's media hype or loads of money that's causing the cut in price, but there seems to be a lot of momentum behind this horse, and I'd agree with Mr. Keeley's point that I'd say she could go off a bit shorter than 14 to 1 even on the day.
Okay, well, if we look at the horses that have bossed the market for a long time, Total Recall, Tiger Roll, Black Lion, are you just against those because they're too short kills, or just that you just feel like the value
I don't tend to back at the front end of the market anyway. But I mean, Tiger Roll, he did look good in that cross country race, and he's not supposed to like soft ground, but he's not the biggest horse in the world for you going around Aintree, and again, Total Recall isn't big either, and he's got 11 stone 5 on his back, and he fell in the Gold Cup. I'm not sure that's the best prep. He wasn't actually going that badly in the Gold Cup. He'd have been 3rd or 4th, I'd imagine. Black Lion.
Does size really matter, though? This is the point. The fences are not what they used to be.
I think it matters when they're carrying weight as well, though. I think it does make a difference, because you've got to remember, there aren't many races over 4.25 miles in the calendar, and this one's going to be run on really bad ground.
Has anyone actually looked into this? Surely someone must have done. Every single angle gets examined to the nth degree these
many
days.
clouds won the race off near top weight a few years ago, but in general, it's
how big's it?
11 stone or less. I've no idea.
They're all the same size horses.
They're not all the same
They
size.
are.
They're not.
The only difference between horses is some have got grey fur.
Can't wait to see Keeley
all
around
identical.
with these tape measuring each one as they come round.
Ridiculous. Black Lion, I don't think he stayed last year, and obviously he finished absolutely legless. Virtually unconscious, wasn't he? At Haydock last time, and he's got more weight and
He's had his wind done.
heavier ground. Yeah, but it'll need more than that to get home, I'd have thought. So I can't really have him.
What about Annabelle Fly, G-Rod?
Yeah, I thought he was the value of the market leaders. If you wanted to back a favourite, I thought he was the best one. He's improving. Won nicely at Leopardstown earlier in the year, and then obviously an absolutely smashing run last time.
It was a really good run in the Gold Cup, wasn't it? You look at that from turning in; he's really closed on the front.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a really good run. I backed him in the Gold Cup. My worry about him here is he can sometimes get in very close to a fence and climb them, and I just think that they're a lot wider, these fences. I know they're not stiff, by park fence sort of reckoning, but I just wonder whether he'll just take the momentum out of him a couple of times.
He's not a dodgy jumper though, is he?
No, he's not a really bad jumper, but
if you can get around Leopardstown in that Paddy Power chase with 30 runners.
Exactly. No, he can be a bit ponderous at his fences though, and that would just worry me.
Tom, what's your view of the ones at the head of the market? Which ones do you like, and which ones don't you like?
Yeah, well, I backed Tiger Roll earlier in the month, but Annabelle Fly at the minute at those prices would be the one for me. I've really liked him since his beginner chase days. He's shown some really good form down through the year, over the last 2 seasons, and he was very, very impressive in the Paddy Power. Obviously, very impressive in the Gold Cup again, and he looks the pick of the top 3 for me.
And if an elderly relative rings up, well, it doesn't have to be elderly, but just someone rings up and says, look, I want to have a fiver on an absolute long shot who could win me a fortune for a fiver, who would you recommend, Kills?
An absolute. Well, I've said Carlingford Lock. He's 50 to 1.
Okay, that'll do.
I wouldn't want to go any bigger than that.
Rightio. G-Rod, anything that one of those big price ones that you kick yourself because you didn't have a couple of quid on if he won?
Virgilio.
Who?
Virgilio. It's 80 to 1. The ground is a bit of a worry for him, but I think he's got sound claims apart from that. And if it was a bit quicker, I think he'd be a bit shorter. But even at 80s, I would be interested in Virgilio.
And Tom, who would be your throwaway fiver?
Maybe Bless the Wings at 50 to 1. A lot of P's in his recent form, but if he's on a going day, he can go close.
Yeah, that should be one for you, Kills. 13-year-old, almost as old as
his
jockey.
I just mentioned Houblon could be the other one.
Oh yeah, Houblon. I was going to say that.
Oboe, plodded round in his own time last year, but bottomless ground might bring him into it.
Yeah. Well, you've got to have a few quid on, haven't you, Kills?
My strategy is to back 3 horses that I really like, and then get the scattergun out and have a few quid on loads.
Like
that
a
just
roulette wheel.
Really,
Treat it like
really
a roulette
piss
wheel.
me off if they won because I've backed them loads of times. So that's worked over the last few years as well. I've managed to cover my mistake back in 66 to 1 winners and not winning any money. It was quite funny, but not losing either.
Okay, so our headline tips then. You are I Just Know,
Yep.
Kills. You're Razdami, and Tom, you are also Razdami, aren't you?
Yep.
Lovely. Okay, chaps, we'll look at the rest of the entry card in just a mo.
Big horses, big jumps, and Paddy Power are paying big places. 6 to be exact. That's a whopping 6 places on each way bets if your horse finishes in the first 6 in the Grand National. Applies to place part of each way bets at 1/5 of the odds. T's and C's apply. 18 plus begamblerware.org.
Right then, let's tackle the rest of the Aintree Saturday card in chronological order. Starting with 145, the Gaskell's Handicap Hurdle. It's a grade 3 over 3 miles and 1 furlong, 22 runners. How do you bet, Tom?
Yeah, we're 5 places here, Bruce. Dreamberry is our 7 to 1 favourite. Debeachy is 9 to 1 next in alongside Mr. Big Shot. 10 to 1 Louis Vac Pooch, Ticken Bar, and Red Indian. 14 to 1 Golden Fortune, Conetable, Now McGinty, A Little Luck, and at 16 to 1 bar those.
What you got for us, G-Rod?
I just got back from Ireland and I've not seen horse go through heavy ground in the way that Our Little Luck did last week at Ferrias. I mean, it was absolutely bottomless that day, and it just slooshed around and was hard on the steel from a long way out and absolutely bolted up. With the ground going heavy, then Our Little Luck.
What were you doing in Ireland?
Well, the missus has got some family in Ireland, and seeing as it was Easter, we all decided to go for a little getaway over there. But I kind of blew everyone out for Easter dinner and decided that I would much rather go to Ferrias. So we went to Ferrias, but it absolutely sheeted down with rain both days. I've never been so wet on a racecourse. It was completely dull, and I did my absolute brains. And I came home on Monday night thinking, God, what a terrible idea that was. But
if Our Little Luck,
if Our
wins
Little Luck
14
goes
to
and
1,
wins,
that'll
well, that was
good will have come out.
That was one of those ones where it was a bit Our Little something else, because we had that on our minds, just from a perspective of we kind of liked the name. Then the missus liked the name, and she was like, I'm going to back this at 25s, and then sure enough we didn't bother. So that kind of was another sad sob story on a bad weekend. And funny enough, my brother was also meant to come over and meet us, and there was that fire at Stansted, and he couldn't make it over either. So it just turned into a complete disaster.
Oh, I'm sorry, G-Rod.
But you can't control these things, weather, fires,
No. And you never know with G-Rod, would you? He can have an absolute disaster like that, or he could have been the greatest holiday of all time. He's got the most level head on him, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was all right. Yeah.
Kills, who wins the 145 at Aintree?
A bit boring, but I don't think you see a bigger eye catcher at Cheltenham than Dreamberry in the Coral Cup last time under John Joe O'Neill. Then he was 7th. He was just miles out the back, blow by blow, made virtually all, and he came through really late. He was 2nd in the 2.5 mile handicap hurdle last year. Went on to be 2nd in another 2.5 mile hurdle at the Punchestown Festival. He has a winning half brother at 3 mile 2 furlongs, so going up in trip should be absolutely perfect for it. I think even 7 to 1 will not be around tomorrow morning.
And Tom?
I'm going to have an each-way dart on Now McGinty. Now McGinty was a horse that was tried in bumpers in Ireland for a couple of seasons, and just they couldn't get him just to get his head in front. They got him away over to England, and Stuart Edmonds couldn't make head nor tail of him for a couple of runs as well. They slapped the cheek pieces on him, and he's won the last twice, absolutely bolted up. He's improved officially 25 pounds over his last 2 runs. He is a full brother to Ice Cold Soul and Outlander and a couple of other good horses. He's a 14 to 1 poke. He might be still improving. I'll back him each way. Now McGinty.
And in the 225, let's do that next. It's the Betway Mersey Novices Hurdle. 14 runners, but 2 absolutely dominate the market, don't they, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Black Op is our 7 to 4 favourite at the moment. On the blind side is next in at 9 to 4, and it's 9 to 1 bar the top 2.
You go first, Tom.
Look, Black Op obviously was very eye-catching in the Supreme in Cheltenham. He just got the better of coming up the hill. you'd have to argue that maybe he did have a hard enough race, and the fresher horse would be on the blind side, and with a bit of value as well. I'd probably just side with him at 9-4.
Who would you side with, Keels?
Yeah, it's a funny one, this one, because I really do like Black Hawk. I think he's a very good horse, but Tom George is just, he's just bang out of form at the moment. In fact, Somerville Void was his only winner in March, and his horses didn't run that well yesterday. I'd be a little bit worried about that. I think On the Blind Side is probably the most likely winner, but he's short enough based on what he's done, really. And of course, he had a problem at Cheltenham. He didn't deliberately sidestep it, so you got that issue. I might have a couple of quid each way on II Charlie at the top. I just think he's better than he's shown. He needs to be. But he ran on later at Cheltenham behind Sam Crow, and I think if it becomes enough of a test, he might be able to get in the frame.
Okay, G-Rod, what's your view here?
I'm absolutely convinced that Black Op is the best horse in the race by some distance, and the two big issues are, as Keely's saying, that the stable is struggling, and last season he was well fancied for the bumper at this meeting, and he just ran no sort of race. He was well beaten. His stable mate beat him, Clondor Castle, who was nowhere near as good as him. So whether this is quite his track would be another worry, and he's short enough given those concerns at 6-4. I don't really like On the Blind Side at all. I thought he made really hard work of winning at Cheltenham when he beat Momella. I thought Momella had him beaten all ends up, and he just outstayed her. Now, he did win nicely at Sandown next time, but the time was nothing special. The form is nothing special. He won it easily, and we don't really know how good he is. But again, there's no juice in the price there. I wouldn't surprise me if Momella reversed the Cheltenham form with him around this track. She travels really well, will love the ground. And Western Rider as well could run really well for Warren Greatrex, was staying on well when sixth in the Supreme Novices last time. There'd be my two against the field, probably with slight preference for Momella.
Okay, thank you, Gerard. The 3 o'clock is the Dunbar Maggle Novices Chase. And we've got a hot favourite here, haven't we, Tom?
Yeah, Petit Mouchard is 8-15 favourite at the moment. Lady Buttons next in at 6-1. Diego de Charmel 13-2 and 9-1 bar.
Okay, G-Rod, you can go first. Obviously, we've got the issue with Petit Mouchard. Probably didn't go hard enough early on last time at Cheltenham, did he? He can't keep holding him up like that, can he, David Russell?
No. Well, he's different gravy to this lot, isn't he? However, he must have had quite a hard race that day, like you say. I mean, he's gone off a bonkers pace. With the other one that I backed, I can't remember its name now, and they both got fresh by footpad. But as I said to Kills earlier on, this is probably the worst Grade 1 novice chase I think I've ever seen. Petit Mouchoir is a Grade 1 horse, but the rest of them are no better than probably handicap class, and the best of the rest is probably going to be Chanteau Rock for me. I think he jumps really, really well, and this track is going to suit him. He'll be able to go out in front, hopefully, if Petit Mouchoir doesn't take him on. And he'll certainly be blasting away and jumping well. The only problem is he keeps finding one too good. Surname was the horse that beat him a couple of starts ago, then So Royal last time. So they're not complete mugs. They're not far off graded class, those two horses. Chanteau Rock would be the one that I back. If Petit Mouchoir turns up on top form, it will definitely win, but I'm not convinced it will after the Cheltenham run.
Tom, what should we do here? As G-Rod says, a slight, he's different gravy, but what do we make of him? Do you think he will just go off a slightly more reserved pace early on and gallop these in submission?
Yeah, he's £9 clear officially, but in my head he's a lot better than these. Yeah, he makes a fair point about Chanteau Rock being the best of the rest, but I just find it very hard to see him beaten by any of these. Speaking of bad Grade 1s, there has been some very poor Grade 1s at this festival so far. The race that Finian's Oscar won yesterday was diabolical. I just think he's the best horse in the race. He's the most likely winner. Look at is he a bet at 8-15? You'd want to be into backing odds on, but I can't see an each way angle against him really.
Okay, so Tom's very down on this one. Kills, can you see an opportunity for us to make a
Yeah, absolutely. I've already had a decent bet on Lady Buttons. She's won both her chases. She's absolutely bolted up both times. She does need to step up quite a lot on what she did at Newcastle last time, but she toyed with a couple of horses rated in the mid-30s. She's an absolute bang, soft ground 2-miler. And I think she can track Petit Mouchoir. And if he's below form, and I think there's every reason to think he might be, he doesn't want the ground as soft as that. He did have a very hard race at Cheltenham. We saw what happened with Brain Power. Brain Power was beaten after about 3 fences yesterday. So I'd definitely take a chance of getting him beat. And of course, his jumping is just a little bit suspect as well. But I liked him going into Cheltenham. I liked him less coming out of it.
You're just going to smash Lady Button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. Right. 340. The Betway Handicap Chase. We've got 17 runners, so it's good each way action here. And what's the latest betting, please, Tom?
Yeah, Thomas Patrick is our 9-2 favourite. Rocklander 13-2 next in. Old Grange Wood is 15-2 alongside Ibis Daru. On Tour is 9-1 and it's 11-1 bar those.
Let me see. Who's going to go first? Keels, you're going to go first. Who
Yeah, I'll
goes
go first. Yeah, I really do like one in there called Bells of Alesworth, trained by Tim Vaughan. Now, he's only run 2 individual horses in this race. One of them was St. R, who won it in 2012. I think he fell in it a couple of years later. But the other one was, I can't remember the name of it now, but it went off favourite. It was smashed into favouritism and was going really well when making a race-ending error 4 out. So, this is his first runner since. And Bells of Alesworth won really, really easy at Bangor, I think it was, 23 lengths on his second start this season. And that was his second start after a break. He's had a break since, came back and finished third at Taunton to Regal Flow, who won the Midlands National next time out. His record on his second start back from 10 weeks or more is 2-2-1-1. I think he's absolutely been laid out for the race, and he's a double-figure price, carrying 10 stone free.
Bells of Alesworth, 16-1 with Paddy Power. Graham, who's your selection?
Old Grangewood for Dan Skelton. I've been waiting for this horse to step up to 3 miles for ages. It has been a 3-miler in
Is
the
he in your
making.
tracker?
He is. He's actually a long-term tracker horse because I had him in my tracker since he finished second, first time out in his first ever start for Dan Skelton, and he's had a bunch of runs since over both hurdles and fences, and he just shapes like he wants 3 miles. He stays forever. He ran an absolute cracker behind Smad Place at the course last year. He was beaten 9 lengths, but that was a Grade 2 race over 2.5 miles. This 3-mile race will really suit him. He's bred to like cutting the ground. I think that Old Grange was a cracking bet.
He's 15-2. And Tom, who's your selection?
Yeah, Clondalk Keane, I think, can still be competitive off a 1-3-1. He's a 16-1 shot at the moment. The ground might be a slight concern for him, but I'll back him each way.
Let's move on to the 420 then. It's the Ryanair Stayers Hurdle, registered as the Liverpool Hurdle. What's the latest betting here, please, Tom?
Sam Spinner is our 13-8 favourite. Holstone is next in at 3-1. The World's End is 4-1, 8-1, Identity Thief, and 14-1 bar.
OK, I advise you all to tip Identity Thief, a horse who completely lost his way, but now seems to be coming back, and I think he's a big price at 8-1. Are you going to take my advice, G-Rod, or go with something else?
No, I'm going to go with something else. I think Holstone can gain a deserved win. I mean, I backed him in the Stayers Hurdle last time, and he absolutely flew home from off the pace.
Who didn't?
That's true, but they went no gallop, did they? I mean, it'll be interesting to see here, won't it, whether Joe Colliver's going to make this more of a test of stamina. Surely this time he has to absolutely go out and blast away on Sam Spinner. He can't be, stacking them up in the way that he did at Cheltenham. And that is going to turn it into a real test of stamina. Now, some people think that Holstone don't stay. To me, that's all it looks like all he does. He just keeps staying and staying and staying, and that's what he did last time at Cheltenham. I think he can pick Sam Spinner up late.
Tom, who's your selection?
Yeah, agree with what Girard said there. I also backed Holstone each way at Cheltenham. Thought he ran a blinder, and I'd be keen on him here now.
And Keels.
I think the opposite of that. I think he isn't a stayer. That was the slowest Stayers Hurdle you've ever seen in your life. And I think poor old Joe Colliver, I think he possibly had 1,000 people telling him about the dangers of going too fast at Cheltenham, and he ended up going too slow. He will make this a proper test this time. And I think Sam Spinner will win.
Really? No value elsewhere?
No, I just think Sam Spinner will win.
OK, the Grand National's due to start at 5:15, and the race after that starts at 6:20, so there's plenty of time for a few full starts. It's the Pinsent Mason Handicap Hurdle for conditional jockeys over 2 miles and half a furlong. Do we have some betting from Paddy Power?
We do. We have 5 places as well. Michael's Mount is our 9-2 favourite at the moment. Chesterfield next in at 5-1. Unison 8-1. Dear Sire 10s alongside Showtime, and it's 11-1 bar.
God, I mean, I know the Grand National is always a hard race, but the supporting card's brutal, isn't it, lads? If anyone's got any money left for this one, who should they have it on, G-Rod?
Well, I think I got one here.
Great.
If you're in trouble, I'm going to suggest having a good bet on Showtime, because Katie Walsh just caught my eye as a really interesting booking, and I had a quick look through this trainer. I don't know anything about him, but he has run 13 runners.
Jay
at entry.
Nash.
Yeah, he's run 13 runners at Aintree in the last 5 seasons. He's had 2 winners, 3 seconds and a third, so 6 of 13 are finishing in the first 3. That suggests to me that this is almost certain to run well. And Katie Walsh rode this horse early in his career, but hasn't been on recently. I suspect he's had this race in mind for quite a while, knowing that he can put Katie Walsh on it. I just stood out like a sore thumb. Showtime.
That's a great suss. That 10-1. Good work, G-Rod. Tom, what's Jay Nash's name?
James Nash.
James Nash. What do you know about him?
I think he's based near Newbridge. I think I've met him once. He's mates with Ruby, I think. But I don't know a huge amount about him, to be honest.
Okay. Are you going to go with that one, Tom, or have you got another one of your own?
Well, that's a far more compelling case than the one I had picked out. I just saw High Expectations was the one each way for me. A good winner in Leicester the last day. Has been tried over the flat quite a lot over the last since when was the last handicap hurdle run before that? It was in April of last year. He had 2 runs, fell in Cheltenham in October of 2017 and bolted up in Leicester the last day. That was before Christmas. I might back him each way, but as I say, I'm waffling. G-Rod makes a far more compelling case for Showtime.
Keels, have you sussed one here?
I won't say I sussed one. I do fancy one at the front end of the market though. Michael's Mount, only a novice, raced 3 times. Only defeat came in the Dovecote at Kempton when he was 3rd, beaten a fair way by Global Citizen, but I think Global Citizen's pretty decent. Next time out, he bolted up at Ludlow on soft ground. Okay, it wasn't much of a race, but all his form on the flat was on soft ground. And I think his handicap mark is probably fair. It's probably no more fair than what he's done so far, but I think it'll turn out to be pretty fair.
And James Bowen, always a bonus.
James Bowen on this, taking off 3. Obviously the best conditional in the race.
Okay, let's look at some flat racing next.
Big horses, big jumps, and Paddy Power are paying big places. 6 to be exact. That's a whopping 6 places on each way bets if your horse finishes in the first 6 in the Grand National. Applies to place part of each way bets at 1/5 of the odds. T's and C's apply. 18 plus begamblerware.org.
Thankfully, the microphones were down during that little break so that you couldn't hear what Paul Keeley was saying about having to talk about flat racing on the eve of the Grand National. But we've got some good stuff at Leopardstown. There's some classic pretenders being put through their paces. Let's start with the 210. It's the Ballyninch Stud. 2,000 guineas trial stakes in which Aidan relies on Gustav Klimt and US Navy flag. He's also got Kenya. There's only 4 runners. The other one is called Imagine. Keels, you can start off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the form was his US Navy flag on last season's, Dewhurst wins and Middle Park wins. He was taken out because of soft ground once last year, though, and it's heavy. And so it doesn't really surprise me that Ryan Moore is on Gustav Klimt. I reckon he'll be a short for price favourite. You never know with O'Brien this time of year because he'll tell you the same thing. They're all just ready to start, aren't they? You know what I mean? And so how fit any of them you don't know. I won't be betting in the race, but I think Gustav Klimt would be favourite.
G-Rod, have you got? Do you share Keels' enthusiasm for this as a betting heat?
It's not a very enticing betting heat, is it?
Okay, well, what will you be looking at?
Well, obviously, as far as the future goes, Gustav Klimt is 8 to 1/3 favourite for the 2,000 guineas. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see if he can make a winning reappearance and just how close to peak fitness he's going to be. We don't really know, but you'd hope that if he's going to be a serious Guineas contender, then he might not have to be top form to win this. However, US Navy flags obviously. Top class horse, won Group 1s last season, and I'm never put off by Shamey Effingham on one. Can be one of the best systems in racing sometimes, following in those Aidan O'Brien second string. So I hope Gustav Klimt wins with a Guineas perspective in mind, but it's not a betting race.
Okay, Tom, is there any clues from the market moves this week that have been coming into Power Towers on how this one might transpire?
Not particularly. Gustav Klimt has been a talking horse over the winter in Ireland, as being one of the Ballydoyle Guineas horses. Obviously, that'll impact the Guineas market if he was to do something impressive. One or two of the Juddmann lads are getting jiggy about Imaging now. He was impressive in Cork the last day and is hard fit. So could be interesting on the day, but as the lads say, it's not an amazing betting race, so unless you're getting something big about Imogen, I'd probably be steering clear of it now at the minute. And just to caveat, if you're having a bet on the flat in Ireland over the next couple of days, I haven't seen the sun in about 10 days in Ireland. The weather has been absolutely biblical, and for a lot of these horses, their big days are later in the season. They won't want to leave the guineas behind them, so it's just worth bearing in mind if you're having a bet, particularly this weekend in Leopardstown.
G-Rod was nodding ruefully there, weren't you?
It was not the place to be on holiday for the last 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Fairness, we ain't seen the sun over here either, have we?
No, we haven't. It's going to be nice next week, though. Did you get good bollocking from the missus, by the way, for going over to Ireland there, G-Rod? Oh, no, she started it, didn't she?
She instigated it, and I took advantage.
Oh, fair enough. OK, now it's not often you get 14 runners in a classic trial, but that's what we've got at 2:45, the Ballylynch stud Priory Bell, 1,000 guineas trial stakes, 14 runners. Should be a very insightful race. Kills, who's going to cross the line in front?
I'm going to take a chance, just as Tom was saying, that, so a lot of these horses, it won't be about this weekend, but one who is fit, trained by Alan Fleming, who's better known for training Cheltenham Festival winner than he is for running horses in trial races for classics. But Katie Cool won a maiden at Naas last time, having been second as a 2-year-old, and it was on bad ground, and she was the last one off the bridle. She only just got home in the end, but she just travelled like a really good horse. She's probably got just about the worst form in the race because she has no pattern form from last year. But just the way she went through that race, she's by my boy Charlie, who absolutely loved bottomless ground, and it's quite clear that she does too, and might just go well at a price.
She got high knee action.
I can't remember. I did try and have a look.
Graham.
Another almost impossible race, isn't it, where we're guessing up on just how fit some of these Aidan O'Brien runners are going to be. If you want to go against the O'Brien runners, which I'd be inclined to given the fitness worries, I'd probably take a chance on Dermot Wild's Yulong Gold Fairy, I think it's called, right at the bottom. He's got a half decent record in the race, and this one appeared to be improving last season. But again, it was not a betting race for me.
Is it a betting race for you, Tom Nugent?
I'll see what price IX Excelsa is on the day. She won a maiden down in Cork the last, I think it's about 2 weeks ago. She pulled right clear of the rest with a gelding called Losum from Dermot Wells. She was game out, she was headed and battled back. She'll be hard fit, and if she's a nice each way price, I might back her.
Righty-ho, and the other race we're going to look at is the 350, the P.W. McGrath Memorial Ballysack Stakes. Obviously, a real breeding ground for classic contenders, and the Pentagon, I suppose, is going to be the focus of all market attention here, Tom, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a few decent entries for this. Kew Gardens was entered up, who's been a massive talking horse in Ireland lately, but it's cut up. It's only down to 5 runners. The Pentagon, is the one, as you rightly point out, to be highlighted. He's highest on ratings at the moment, but sure, we'll see. Ryan Moore has gone for him as well, so he'll be very, very interesting if he was to do something impressive.
Keels, I'm not going to ask you about this race because, again, you're just going to go, well, we don't know how fit there. But I'm going to ask you who you think will be the best classic horse or the best 3-year-old from Ballydoyle when we sit back and review the season in November.
Well, all the talk has been about the Pentagon over the last few weeks. I mean, this horse had Ryan Moore, absolutely loves it, etc. I still think Saxon Warrior is the horse to beat in all the classics, and hopefully he'll boost the form of the Racing Post Trophy, which already got a boost when Chilean, who was down the field, bolted up a long shot at the weekend. So I think that's very, very strong form.
Excellent. G-Rod, what about you? Who's going to be the king of the Aidens?
Yeah, no, I agree with Kills. I think that Saxon Warrior looks like he could be potentially something special. But the Pentagon was third in that Racing Post Trophy, and let's hope he wins. I mean, Ryan Moore's on him, and if he does win, he'd be a serious Derby contender, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
So,
OK then, so as apart from Aintree, we've also got the rest of Leopardstown, we've got Newcastle, Lingfield, Chepstow and Wolverhampton. Have you got anything else for us, Kills, that isn't your nap?
No.
Have you, Graham?
I have. I've got 2 on the weather. One in the 3:35 at Lingfield, which is an old favourite of Kills', and I put it to him earlier. But obviously he hadn't even bothered looking at Lingfield. Oh, what are you looking at Lingfield for on Grand National Day, you moron? But there you go.
I think those were the exact words.
The horse is called Alfred Hutchinson, an old favourite of Kills', and this one is £10 below its last winning mark and got just all sorts of trouble last time out. Just everywhere he went got cut off. He shaped like he would definitely ready to win anyway. And I think Alfred Hutchinson, provided they go a decent pace, that's the only worry. There's no great pace in the race, and he does need a good pace to come off, but I could see him going really well. And in the 8:30 at Wolverhampton, there is a horse called the Resdev Way, and this horse absolutely hacked up at Southwell 3 starts ago, I think it was, when I thought Katie Gale would definitely win. Katie Gale ran an absolute cracker, but couldn't get anywhere near the Resdev Way. He went on to win again at Southwell. Disappointed there last time, but I thought he was far too free. Sylvester de Souza is going up for the ride. I think we've got him in at double figure price, 12 or 14 to 1. If he was anywhere near that sort of price with Sylvester de Souza up, I think that would be a good bet. He's got full Montepetto because he was second in a jumpers bumper behind Forest Bien at Newcastle, which is also decent form. I think the Resdev Way in the 8:30 at Wolverhampton could be a decent bet too.
Well in, G-Rod. What about you, Tom? Anything else that isn't your nap?
No, keep trucking.
Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Paul Keeley
Bells of Ellsworth, 340.
at Aintree. G-Rod.
6:20, the last race, showtime.
Okay, and Tom,
425 Leopardstown, Christopher Robin.
give us a little line on why we should back Christopher Robin.
I think he's going to be a lot better than 81 later in the season. Handles heavy ground, ran third in a maiden at Gorn Park and was entered up in some decent maidens last season. Only 3 runs, and I'd say he'll be a much better horse this year.
Okay, weekend plans, G-Rod?
I think I am working. Yeah, I'm working on Grand National Day. I'm doing live tipster, so hopefully we get plenty of winners on there. And Sunday, I'm due to be going to Legoland in Windsor. Now, at the end of quite a long week, I'm not entirely sure I want to be running around Legoland, but it's very hard to get out these sorts of things, isn't it? You know.
Well, you took the kids on such a crap holiday when they got absolutely
So I've got to make up
rained
for
down
it.
on, didn't they, all
So
the time?
I'm going to be going and making some Lego and going on all the trains and the fire engines and everything like that.
You are taking the kids, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Jolly good. Tom, weekend plans?
In the office, sadly. But
You're always in the office, aren't you? Ever get a weekend off?
Never, Bruce, never. They have me chained to the desk here, but sure, I'll be punting away. I'll be happy out.
Will you have a national sweepstake?
I'm sure we will, yeah. I think one of the lads has actually organised it as we speak.
Excellent. And what about you, Kills?
Drink Saturday, sleep Sunday.
Simple as that. What a lovely, basic, simple life you lead. Well done, chaps. Let's say you get a few winners. Difficult old card at Aintree, but hopefully the guys have given you a few clues there as to who to back. Good luck, everyone. Hope the Grand National goes well for you. And we will be back on Monday reviewing Aintree and looking ahead to some of the great stuff that's coming up on the flat.
Big horses, big jumps, and Paddy Power are paying big places. 6 to be exact. That's a whopping 6 places on each way bets if your horse finishes in the first 6 in the Grand National. Applies to place part of each way bets at 1/5 of the odds. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.